Whatever we do, we're still human.
Hey, maybe I can help because no one knows the
Loves us so
the
much.
crisis and the problem better than those of us
Doesn't matter.
that have
We were
suffered.
all blind. What color would we be? What eyes would we have? You know what I mean? Close your eyes and find out who you really are.
This is Vancouver. It's a city of diverse cultures and natural beauty. It's also the place I've called home for over 10 years. But there's one part of the city that I never fully understood. A part that's easy to miss, but also easy to accidentally run into. It's also a part that the government doesn't really want you to see. This is the downtown East Side, a 30-block district of Vancouver that has become synonymous with Canada's homelessness and toxic drug crisis. In this little zone, over 50% of residents live below the poverty line, and there are over 2,000 homeless. But as I've dug myself deeper into this story, I've come to realize that the people here are more resilient than I could have ever imagined. So this is my attempt at sharing those stories and unveiling the truth behind the downtown East Side. Okay, so I had a few burning questions when I first started this investigation. One, was the downtown East Side always so low income? Two, why are all these socioeconomic issues confined to this tiny district? And three, what policies are in place to help this community today? I eventually got in contact with Jeff West, the regional lead for substance use at Vancouver Coastal Health. First of all, I just wanted to have you tell me a little bit about all of the work you've done.
I got a job with Vancouver Coastal Health when Insight opened. And then after that, I worked for the Portland Hotel Society for a number of years, managing a few of their projects, including the Bosman Hotel, which was one of the at-home Chez Soi sites. And now I'm the lead with the regional addiction program.
Awesome. That's exactly the background that I was looking to be able to have a conversation with. I wanted to ask you, what is your overall view on why the homelessness and overdose crises have really persisted and deteriorated over the past 20 years?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. I think you look at North America wide, we've got an increasing gap between rich and poor, right? So look, you look at that income distribution across the population, and it's just gone like so crazy.
Yeah.
Bruce Alexander was a SFU psychologist who did these famous rat park experiments back in the 70s and was doing a bunch of research on Vietnam veterans, American Vietnam vets
Yeah.
who there was a high rate of heroin use when those US soldiers were at war, and then when they came back to the States, very few of them continued to be addicted to heroin. At the same time, there was like quite a high profile the study that showed, if you put a rat in a cage and you give them like a nutrient solution and a heroin solution, man, they'll just drink the heroin.
Mm.
They'll drink the heroin and starve to death. Bruce had done a bunch of other experiments with rats and knew that rats were smart, were really social, and that you put a rat in a cage, you're really stressing it. So he had this kind of this thought, well, maybe people's substance use, the US soldiers in Vietnam, their heroin use was just a way to cope with the tough situation they were in. And so he recreated that rat experiment, but instead of a single solitary rat in a cage, he built a rat park, this, big thing with
Mm.
boys and girls rats and all the toys and everything a rat could kind of
Could
want.
ever dream of.
And yeah, exactly, right. And gave them that same solution, the nutrient solution and the opioid solution. And none of them touched the opioid solution, right? And a
Wow.
whole bunch of things that lead people to, having a substance use disorder. Sometimes it's a mental health related thing. Often it's trauma. And often it's like, in some ways, even though it may not seem like it from the outside, like almost a rational coping mechanism. If I'm homeless, man, maybe my substance use, maybe I'm using stimulants to stay awake at night so I don't get assaulted and robbed. There's a really, man, and when somebody's struggling, it's really hard for them to like not want, and it's impossible to expect somebody not want to sort of seek some respite or relief from those struggles. So, I think what we need to do is build a more equal society.
What do you think the reason is that all of this homelessness and this crisis is like contained within downtown East Side?
There's historical reasons that the downtown east side, which has always been like this really diverse, very working class community, that the single room occupancy housing in the downtown east side, is a holdover from that time in BC where people would work in logging camps, mining camps, fishing camps, and then when they weren't working, come to Vancouver. This is mostly men, and then live in these housekeeping rooms with like a bar on the main floor. And so there's this legacy of that kind of housing in the downtown east side, which makes it like kind of the only affordable place for people to live.
Immigrant workers also started setting up communities in the area. Chinatown is located right next to the Pacific Central Railway Station, and Japantown right next to the port. But it wasn't until the 70s that the city of Vancouver began designating the east side as a quote-unquote containment zone for low-income individuals. Rooming houses, which are high-density housing elsewhere in the city, began to shut down in place for single-family homes. And also they were designing a new West Side district for businesses. Around the same time, psychiatric hospitals in BC were being deinstitutionalized.
And when they closed Riverview, or it was a phased closure of Riverview, people found the only kind of welcoming and safe community for them was the downtown east side.
So the downtown east side is low income because of gentrification and rezoning. And as the crack cocaine epidemic took hold of North America in the 80s, the east side became the main site of drug abuse in British Columbia. Which begs the question, what policies are actually implemented to support the over 2,500 people who are homeless here?
Sort of tends to happen. The most marginalized are sort of like the last in line.
One policy we've probably heard on the news is harm reduction. It's often misconstrued, but essentially harm reduction accepts the fact that we can't fully eradicate drug use. However, we can mitigate its negative effects. Examples of harm reduction include age restrictions around drug use, supervised consumption sites, and also social support services for users.
And as a society, I think there's still so much stigma around folks with mental health and substance use issues, and we just, there's a lack of compassion.
Insight is probably the most well-known harm reduction location in Vancouver. Essentially, users would bring their own substances to Insight where they have safe, sterile needles and also medical attention.
Insight was developed at a time when there was a big spike in overdoses, maybe losing 400 people a year. Maybe half the injection drug users in the downtown east side were HIV positive. So there's like a public health reason to do this, save people's lives, prevent the transmission of bloodborne diseases. The community really wanted the space because they were like sick of getting jacked up by the police, when like in the alley doing their thing. And there's even though before Insight opened, like there was like some community opposition and skepticism about it. After we opened, like that just faded away, and local businesses were like, "Wow, for the first time, when you guys are open, I don't have like people on my doorstep using and stuff." And so, there's like I think there's that sort of community street order reason to bring these services inside, get them out of the, you know, public eye, don't expose kids to that kind of stuff. And so that's like the sort of public order side of it, but then the compassionate side of that same argument is like connecting people to care.
There's also a prescribed alternatives program linked to Insight, and essentially it provides alternative medications to individuals who are at high risk of overdose from the street supply. And contrary to what we hear from the media, this is a very limited program, and very few people actually medically qualify for prescribed alternatives. But the more pressing underlying issue here is still housing. Those who are unhoused are at much higher risks of falling into addiction. The vast majority of welfare housing in the East Side are SROs, or single room occupancies. Essentially, each resident lives in their own private room with shared bathrooms and kitchens on each floor. Laws currently exist that protect SROs from redevelopment, but the biggest issue with welfare housing in the East Side is still their conditions. SROs are infested by pests, moldy, and poorly ventilated. Some individuals even choose to live outside because of safety concerns. Then there's transitional housing, an option for individuals who are already on their road to recovery and undergoing treatment. Considering that so many housing options have requirements like being clean from drugs in order for someone to actually move in, many people are barred from getting housing. And even then, there just currently aren't enough units to house all of the homeless individuals in the East Side. Since welfare housing is so concentrated, individuals who are looking to get clean and go into detox are still living amidst users and dealers, making it almost impossible for them to complete their treatment. But whenever the government proposes to build affordable housing units outside the East Side, it almost always gets shut down by the public through petitions. So after all this research, there's one more thing that was missing: getting a primary perspective from the people actually living in the East Side. It's so nice to meet you. I just wanted you to just tell your story. Where did you come from, and like what's your living situation currently, and just whatever you want to say.
I come from a coke addict to social inequality advocate for the downtown East Side in about 29 years.
By the way, my name is Jerry.
Nyla.
Nyla, you are?
Lynette.
Lynette. Nice to meet you. And, sorry? Yul.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you guys.
But my drug of choice was cocaine.
And then how did you end up getting off of these things?
I reached for a higher power. I used the strength I had.
Yeah.
My children were suffering, number one. That's what made me realize that I was fucked up.
I really appreciate it.
My kids didn't see me. I didn't see my kids. I wasn't paying child support. I was just being a regular asshole, right? But I was mentally ill. And when I tell my kids that, they both look at me. One who goes, "Oh, you're still mentally ill," but hey, just as a joke, but and it's like I say, addiction is a mental illness.
Yeah. Can I ask, just if it's okay, to share a little bit about your background? I guess like what brought you here overall, and how long have you been in the area?
I've been in the area probably about 25 years. I've grown up in North Vancouver my younger years. I was in foster care because my parents were splitting up. So they put us in foster care. I was the first one to go in. Then my other three siblings followed me probably about a month later.
That's prevalent too.
And I was abused in the foster homes. We were in 1, 2, 3 foster homes. I was abused in every one of them, severely abused. When I got home, my parents were alcoholics, but they didn't abuse me. They never raised a hand to me. We were neglected a bit, but that's the way it was because they were from residential school. So they were already damaged too.
Do you have an indigenous background?
Yeah.
I see.
I died 9 times in 2 years. 5 of the times it was because somebody handed me the wrong pipe, knowing that I was allergic to down, handed me a pipe, and 2 of them were my friends. So that wasn't cool with me. But when they come down here, they look at everybody as a drug addict. We're all human beings.
Yeah, exactly.
First and foremost, it doesn't matter what we do. It doesn't matter if we drink, we don't drink, we do drugs, smoke pot, whatever we do. We're still human first. And no matter what, we don't know that person. Save their life. We're all worth it. They've saved my life 9 times. They didn't know me. But people look at us differently. We're all worth something. Somebody loves us somewhere. I think we're all worth something. It doesn't matter. We were all blind. What color would we be? What eyes would we have? You know what I mean? Close your eyes and find out who you really are.
That's really insightful. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
City's a pretty interesting city. So I got the idea from this guy, the Upside Down. Here's the Upside Down program. It's much like Life Labs. The addict signs up with a program, government run, not SRF, not to NGO, none of that stuff, government, Health Canada run, right? I'm just going to go not too far off topic because I think it's unconscionable behavior to allow toxic deadly drugs into a Health Canada endorsed facility like Insight, so a drug addict can be revived in case of overdose and returned to the street to buy more toxic deadly drugs. That's not right. That is so criminally, insanely wrong. It's not even funny. But anyways, my Upside Down program is just like Life Labs. The client comes in, facial recognition, whatever hey Bob, good to see you again. Oh yeah, you were here a couple, 3 hours ago, you need your other fix, okay. And you sit down and the board comes down and they clean you up and they put the band and they give you your injection or your drug of choice, and then you go and sit and have a cookie or juice or whatever till you stabilize and off you go. Well, if that was happening, the dope dealer across the street be going, there's no money in this because they're giving dope away across the street in the Upside Down program. And they'd be gone. And it'd be clinical grade. In Switzerland for 33 years in Switzerland, if the police see a person sticking a needle in their arm, they come up and say, can we help you? We'll take you to a clinic, you get free heroin. This was like 33 years ago when they started. 3 times a day, and they give them a point and a half 3 times a day, right? For a week. Next week it's 1.4 3 times a day. Next week it's 1.3 3 times a day. 1.2 because cold turkey it's dangerous, it's criminal, it's wrong, it's inhumane. You wean them off their drug of choice. Then when they get them down to a point today, they ask him if they got a GED, and Buddy goes no. They get him a GED. And then he's down to 0.9, and he's down to 0.8, he's down to 0.7. He says, you got job skills? And he goes, no. And they don't stick you in a McDonald's. They go, what would you like to learn? They put you into a trades program so you can come back to society as a productive member again, not hurting yourself because you can't understand that you have inner powers you haven't channeled yet.
Right now I'm housed, thank God. Now I was homeless for 4 years before that, and then I was housed for a little while, and then I lost my house for another 4 or 5 years. Yeah, I've been on the street. I've learned a lot being homeless than being housed. But it's not away from down here. I have my doctor. I would never trade her in for the world. It's the lifestyle down here. I've got lots of friends that still come down here, but I need to be away from here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I need to be somewhere where I feel like I'm living again.
Exactly. You're not like still within this whole...
Yeah, I love the community and everything, but everybody down here really needs more help than what they're getting.
That's what you're looking for.
You'll have something unique to us.
See, he's funny.
Honestly, the biggest issue that I have out here, man, is like housing. There's enough housing for everybody in this city.
There is.
Yeah.
We know it.
And what's wrong with tiny housing? Those tiny homes.
So why not like open up some of these buildings that have been closed for years?
There's a lot of like abandoned hotels, things like that.
Yeah,
Right?
like open them up. Let us. I need a home too. I've been out here, pardon my language.
No worries.
I've been out here homeless. I'm 48. I've been doing this 30 years, bro.
Yeah.
I guess what is it that brought you here in the first place in the downtown East Side area?
Okay, well, I'm originally from Edmonton, right? And everybody I know, my whole family, they all passed away.
I'm so sorry.
I
to hear
was the
that.
last one left, so I figured, why the hell not come out to BC? So that's what I did. And I met the love of my life. I have 2 beautiful kids. If we had housing, we'd have them. But because we don't, they're in care. And that's another flaw in the system.
And it's so easy, but the city says can't do it because it looks.
I mean, like, first of all, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Right? The FUR program, and it's for like couples with addiction, right?
Yeah.
It's at the Women's and Children's Hospital. It's a program. My wife and I went through it twice.
You're not doing it to me again, buddy.
And they do everything for the mothers, and they do nothing for the fathers at all.
I'm so sorry. Right over my head.
They broke my family apart.
You better find
They sent my girlfriend, my wife, to recovery with our son, and basically told me to kick rocks and hit the street. Go find out on your own, figure it out.
Like over the past 5-10 years, what sort of changes have you seen in the downtown East Side?
More people using more drugs. a lot of young people,
So,
and it's sad
a
to
couple of them
watch. And
survived
I
the
sit
attack
on the
when
curb or
Israelis
wherever I'm
bombed
sitting,
Syria.
and I watch the
A couple of them
community.
survived.
And it's just younger kids are coming down here.
All right.
And it's like, oh my God, life's not really that bad. You know, like,
Like, why is that, do you think?
I
Why are
don't
there so
know.
many more young people on the streets now?
I don't know, man. I really don't. I think the drug thing is like a little much. You know,
I think too, like
yeah.
young people act the way they do because they got a rough start from it, right from birth. Most of them went into foster care or were adopted and they were abused. If you are not their parent, it is easy for you to abuse that child and not worry about it because they're not from you. Okay? And that's what's happening. A lot of the kids have grown up in adults have been let down time and time again through the system that literally you put water in your hand and you have a better chance of it working than the system because it's geared against you.
I think that's what's important, especially for young people like me, to
It is.
understand the situation from like a different perspective. From
I
your
think
perspective.
now for all these people to heal that have gone through what they've gone through, and they've all gone through it, they need a force that can show them empathy. That's the only way they can heal from this, is if they have somebody empathizing with them and seeing and can put themselves in their spot and see their pain, the pain that this has caused. And that's the only way to mend the community again because it's broken. This is a community. It is not a landing spot. It's a community.
So to answer our earlier questions about where this issue arose, the East Side is low income because it is designated low income. In the 70s, Vancouver was rezoned in order to favor single-family homes, while buildings in the East Side were required to have social housing. This is containment at its core. Although systematic rezoning keeps the rest of Vancouver super new and shiny, it fails to address the underlying issues of addiction and crime. Harm reduction is an important policy to mitigate these harms, but it is still remedial at best. So the first step for us is to humanize this community by initiating conversations with people who are struggling with mental health. But the end policy goal is still to establish affordable housing that is dispersed and not concentrated within 30 blocks. That way we give people who are struggling with addiction a real chance at recovery. But as we've seen in countless affordable housing projects that have failed to get off the ground, just building more units is easier said than done. What we need is a level of empathy and understanding from everybody in British Columbia so that we recognize these people are worth it and they can contribute to the economy and we should give them a fighting chance.